He is the most mysterious, invisible man among all superhumans. Even radar cannot detect his traces. His unique skin structure makes him completely immune to conventional attacks. But this material cannot withstand electricity. So Jack exploited this weakness by secretly picking up a high-voltage wire. The next second, electricity surged rapidly through the Invisible Man's body, and he then lay on the ground, completely rigid. To avoid drawing attention, John decided to dispose of the Invisible Man's body. However, at that moment, the trunk suddenly made a sound. It turned out the Invisible Man wasn't dead. He could reorganize the carbon elements in his skin to achieve an indestructible effect. With no other choice, John had to seek help from a friend who was once a top assassin. Perhaps he could solve this problem. But when George saw the Invisible Man, he immediately pulled out his gun and threatened them to leave. John wasn't nervous at all, however, because the Invisible Man had already seen George's face. Only then did George realize he'd been trapped. With no alternative, he had to take the Invisible Man to the suburbs and had Jack cover the walls with aluminum foil to block tracking signals. George then custom-made an oversized armor-piercing bullet. However, when John pulled the trigger, the bullet bounced straight back.
I'm invincible! You stupid motherfuckers!
What they didn't know was that the bullet had pierced through the aluminum foil. Soon after, Vought Corporation tracked down the Invisible Man's location, confirming he was somewhere in Jersey City. They quickly launched a comprehensive search operation. Meanwhile, George and his group were also trying various methods. Just when they were at their wits' end, a turtle on television gave George inspiration. He believed that the Invisible Man was only hard on the outside, but his internal organs were as fragile as any ordinary person's. Therefore, if they could place a bomb inside his body, they could kill the Invisible Man. Upon learning that his weakness had been discovered, the Invisible Man immediately began begging for mercy. But John wasn't buying it. Just as he was about to detonate the bomb, George suddenly stopped him. He had spotted a figure on the surveillance, moving at high speed through the air. The group was startled because the figure in the sky was none other than the captain of the Seven, Homelander, acknowledged as the strongest. If an explosion occurred here, their location would be immediately exposed, so George called his girlfriend and had her blow up a house to attract Homelander's attention, while he acted as bait to buy time. But just as the group was distracted, the Invisible Man found his chance to escape. He collected a cup of urine and splashed it on the transformer. Without the high-voltage electricity's restraint, an ordinary iron cage couldn't hold him. However, just as the Invisible Man was about to flee, he was stopped by Jack holding the detonator. The Invisible Man wasn't worried, though, because he knew Homelander was nearby. Otherwise, he would already be dead. But at that moment, George's girlfriend had already detonated the bomb, successfully drawing Homelander away. Seeing the Invisible Man trying to escape, Jack pressed the detonator without hesitation.